Hello everyone. Okay, I'm just going to show you a video of how I work through workflow. So last night we went out and did a few traffic trails around Portsmouth. So now I'm going to upload them, put them into my Lightroom catalogue and just show you how I go about doing that to organise your pictures. So Lightroom, obviously you've got your preview up here. I'm in the library element at the moment, and this is exactly what this is. It's a library. So you can see I've categorized pictures by year, so you can have as many folders as you want. So I've got a few random folders down there. So the pictures I'm going to upload are going to go into the 2015 folder. So I'll just show you that. Obviously with it clicked on 2015, what you've got in here is all the pictures I've got stored within this chain. Obviously if we want to look at bird feeder on its own, you just click on there. So first of all I'm going to go to File and import photos and videos. My memory card's already in a memory card reader, or some of you might choose to upload directly from your camera. Either way it's the same process. So what you've got here is obviously already detected my memory card, and I've got this checked as well. So as soon as all the camera's pictures are uploaded to Lightroom, it will automatically eject the SD card from the computer, so I can just pull it straight back out. On this side, your file handling element, obviously I'm just going to check this because obviously it's set to import into a different folder at the moment, so I'll change that. And then you've got sort of don't import suspected duplicates. If you wanted to, you can make a second copy. So this is a sort of if you wanted to do a backup of all the originals and you only wanted to have maybe a working folder of pictures that you were going to edit, then you can make a second copy just for backups, but I won't be using that. So first thing I'm going to do here is choose the correct folder where all the pictures are going to be going into, which is 2015. Just select that folder, and for each one I will create a subfolder. So for this one we'll call it traffic trails. Okay, so you can see here now that wherever I import these, it'll be going to library, pictures, 2015 folder, and then creating a new folder called traffic trails within that one. So they're all nicely organized. This may be slightly different on a Mac, but the principle again will be exactly the same. You can choose to rename your files if you wanted to. You can choose to change, you could have change them all straight to black and white if you wanted to, but I tend to leave those all blank because you want to do those on an individual level. Okay, so that done. At this stage as well, what you could choose to do is say if you didn't want a picture, you can just deselect it straight away, but for the purpose of this, because I want to show you how I go through categorizing and selecting for deletion and all that kind of thing, so I'll import all the ones, even the ones I'm not going to keep. So I'll just click on import. So as you can see, they're just finishing importing there now. I just had that on pause very briefly while that allowed it to do. You can see now you can actually start seeing the pictures coming in. They're a little bit blurry here at the moment because they're all just loading the previews, and obviously quite big file size as well. You can see 22 megs for a picture. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do then is I want to be able to see these to decide which ones I'm going to keep. Now obviously that view here, you're not going to make any decision. So still in the library mode, I'm not going to look at developing just yet. I'm going to select a single shot, so you can see now whichever one is selected here will appear in the main window. So these were pictures I was just using to set up and test lights and all that kind of thing. So straight away I'm going to use X on my keyboard and reject these pictures because obviously I'm not going to keep them. I'm not going to keep that one either. Now this one I may keep, that one, obviously deleting. This was actually when I was crossing the road and accidentally fired the trigger, so it was catching all sorts of lights. Not going to keep that one. I tend to be quite brutal, to be honest, with these. If they're not, if I'm not going to be interested in keeping them, then just get rid. So see now that one, I may add that one into it, so it's a combination. So that one will keep. That one will go. That one I'll keep. go. You will find that you'll create your own set of parameters that will give you the decision of whether you keep a picture or not. This is where I just moved into the junction a little bit. See what else you could catch. Keep that one. Not that one. Not that one. So here we go. I've made my selections. As you can see, I'm only going to keep a handful of the pictures that I took. So the rest of them, I am going to go Photo, delete rejected photos, and delete from disk. Then I'm not interested in them. They can go. You all might be a little bit more cautious and keep them for a little while, but just bear in mind the file sizes when you're shooting in RAW. I tend to be a little bit more brutal just to save space. The other option, of course, is you can back them all up onto a disk, and then you've got them there if you want to, or external hard drives, whatever you want to use. Okay, so now I'm going to start going through deciding what I'm actually going to do with these pictures. Obviously this one here, I like the traffic trails, but we've got this annoying car in the way, so I'll probably discount that one just now. Now this one and this one I was thinking of maybe putting together in Photoshop, which I'll show you that. You can also do that in GIMP as well. I'll maybe do another demo on that one as well. Right, so first thing I'm going to do then is now go into my editing phase. And you just click into here, develop. So there we go. It's almost the same, but obviously this window here changes into the develop module, and this window changes into the presets, and you can actually hover over the presets and it'll give you an idea in the top left here of what you'll end up with. So you can think, oh, actually quite like that, convert it, whatever you want to do, but for this one I'm just going to leave here. So looking at this image and deciding what I want to do, obviously the sky here is a bit blown out a little bit contrasted, maybe change the white balance just because obviously this looks a bit orange, that kind of thing. So the way I tend to do this is work quite methodically from top down. So first of all I'm going to just change, have a play with the light balance. First of all, see what the Lightroom itself thinks and think, okay, auto, yeah, not bad, and then have a look through the presets. Definitely not fluorescent, tungsten, no, don't want that either. Yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll just stay with auto and maybe just cool it off a little bit more. There we go. So bit happy with that. Starting to look more like a night scene now rather than some weird orange scene. Exposure wise I'm quite happy, but I may just drop it down a little bit to just take away some of the brightness. Now if you wanted to do that yourself, just to do the foreground, you can select this adjustment brush here, you can select exposure, so for example exposure here, and you can actually go just drop the top one. So this will tell you what it is you're affecting, temperature, exposure, contrast, etc, etc, and then you adjust the slider. So if I wanted to increase exposure of a certain element I would go up, if I want to decrease I go down. So there we go. I'm going to set it to about there, and then you can just brush wherever it is you want to decrease the exposure, and you can see that's making just a subtle adjustment in there. And if you decided you wanted to increase the effect, then the area that you've changed, which you can actually do with that, so you can see in here I've changed this area that's in red. There we go, just paint that, and it also shows you little areas you might have missed. So just paint in there. Happy with that. Now what you can actually do, you can alter that even further by readjusting the slider, and it will only change the area that you've actually painted in. Okay, so once you're happy with what you've got, so there we go, bit happy with that, just click done. Cool. Okay, so that's that bit done. So we've adjusted there the temperature, played with a little bit. Contrast I will just push up a little bit just to add a little bit more obviously you want this element here to stand out and you want that to stand out, so ideally that's where you want to focus your attention on when you're doing your editing. So I don't think we really need to play with the shadows too much. Whites and blacks I'll leave as they are, clarity I'll leave as it is. May just push the vibrance up a little bit just to bring out some more of the reds and the pinks. This I'm going to leave alone, that's a tone curve. You can basically, the lower down this spectrum you are, the darker the colour, up here the lighter the colour. So if I dragged it down here, I'm affecting the dark colours of the pictures, as you can see there. And if I was up this end, I'd be affecting the light colours of the picture. So you can make it a nice, it's almost like affecting the contrast really manually by just creating an S-curve in there. So obviously the lighter bits go up, the darker bits go down, and it will tell you here through sliders what you've actually done. So I've increased my light areas by 29 and I've reduced the shadows by 16. I'm going to leave all this alone. This isn't relevant for really this image. It's all just obviously just affecting different colour spectrums, and I think everything else I'm quite happy with. If you ended up with a lot of noise, say for example you'd cranked up the ISO for whatever reason, you could actually reduce some of the noise in here. But again, what I may do, however, is I may just do a lens profile correction, just to remove any distortions that may be naturally created through the lens I was using. Okay, so that one is pretty much done. I'm happy with that. Now, the plan was with this one is to make it the same, or to include this picture here and blend them together. So I basically need to make the same changes to this picture as I did to that one, because obviously I've locked off the camera on a tripod, so everything else will be in exactly the same position, but the changes I've made need to be the same. So obviously when you blend them, they're not going to be massively different. Now with Lightroom, all you need to do is click Previous, and that makes the same changes that you made to that one. So exactly the same changes. Now what it has actually done, it's made this far too bright, and that will be because of the tone curve. So all I will do is just reduce the light area down until we're happy. In fact, that's probably a little bit too much, and in fact we can leave it like that. That's actually not too bad. Once they're blended it'll be fine. And there you go. So it's just reduced it down a little bit, but obviously I don't want to make any global changes because this will affect here and then they'll be different. Okay, so that's the two I'm going to show you how to blend, and I'll do that in Photoshop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select both pictures, so that's them both selected, using the control button to select the other one, right click, edit in, and edit in Photoshop. So I'll come back once Photoshop's loaded up. Okay, so Photoshop has now loaded up, and it's loaded up both pictures as individual elements. So what I want to do now is basically put these two together and blend the bits that I want from each image as one. So the way I'm going to do this is select one of the pictures and just drag it out of the tab. So you've got it like that. So it's just a left click and drag. So there we go. I'm going to select the move tool, which is this top left one here, a little arrow. If you hover over them long enough, they do tell you what they are. So there you go, move tool, rectangular, etc., etc. What I would recommend is experimenting with all the tools and just finding out which ones you like, what does what. I won't go through them all individually. Okay, so what I'm looking at doing now is planting this picture onto the top there. So I'm going to hold down my shift button, left click the picture you want, and just move, keeping hold of the shift button, release the left click. Once the image is there, then release shift. Now the reason for that is the shift button will mean the picture will go dead center, exactly overlaid as the original underneath. If you don't hold the shift, you end up with a free move, and then you end up having to shuffle it around until it is correctly orientated. The shift will just negate that and it'll just put it straight over the top. Okay, so what you've got now is you've got a background layer and you've got layer 1. So these pictures are now, imagine them just stacked on top of each other. Now the reason you can't see the background layer is because this layer is on top. So if I hid layer 1, you can now see the original one here, and same, and there you go. So obviously if you hid both of them, you've got nothing. Background, you've got that one, and layer 1, you've got that one. So what you're wanting to do now is bring through this bit, because this is obviously what we're interested in, the traffic trail, onto this top layer. So what we could do is we could change the blend mode. So obviously this is set to just a normal overlay at the moment. By changing the blend mode, it will change how the two layers are merged together. So for example, if I click lighten, that will bring through the lighter elements from this background layer through layer 1, and that is pretty much all that we wanted to do. You can hide, so for example, if I hid this layer, I don't have these streaks on here that I have on this one. So if I wanted to get rid of those now, what I could do is add I actually want to hide this part of the light from the bottom layer, not the top layer. So layer mask on the bottom one, paintbrush to black, and then just paint out the areas that you don't want. And actually I can go all over the sky, because the top layer actually has a better sky and a better foreground, for whatever reason, obviously just the exposure at the time, different light, etc, etc. And just gone too far. Now if you do go too far, this is quite good because it's non-destructive. Black paints out, white will allow you to paint back in, so you can just go in there if you go too far. And that there has pretty much covered the mask. So I've got a better skyline up here, because on this, obviously this is what we're doing. On this layer here, this is all that I want showing through on that top layer, and all the rest has been pretty much masked out. Okay, so happy with that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to merge the two layers, and I'm going to just merge visible. The reason I've done that is now I want to perform a crop just to get rid of the car that's in there. Oops, painting in there, don't want to do that. Let's put the move tool back on. So I want to get rid of this car here, and to do that I'm just going to use a crop. What I've got set to here, this is an A4 format. 297 by 210 is the size of A4 paper. What you could do is go original ratio, and then it'll keep the image size. It was just because obviously I was doing something that required an A4 size on there before. What this also gives you with the crop tool is a kind of rule of thirds grid line. I say kind of, it's actually the rule of thirds grid line. And ideally what you're looking at is to have a point of interest within these sectors here. So where the lines meet is where you're looking at points of interest. However, it's not a hard and fast rule. You will find that sometimes your image might not require a rule of thirds because of what it is. So I'm actually going to go about there, I think. Try and put those two roughly about the same and crop it in like that. So this is the point now I'll start thinking, do I actually need to make any more changes? And actually I'm just looking, I'm not sure whether that the Spinnaker Tower is actually leaning, and I'm sure it wasn't built leaning, so it's probably me on a slight slope. So what I might try and do with that is just straighten it up. So using Control T picks up the transform tool, and I'm just going to use my Mark 1 eyeball here and just turn it a little bit here. Yeah, so it is definitely skew width. Right, so what I'm going to do is come out of there and create another layer. So to duplicate this layer, just drag it down onto the duplicate layer. So you've got duplicate layer, folder, group stacking, making changes, mask and effects, and linking and chaining things together. So what I've made is a copy of the layer below, and then I will transform. So go to Control T again and it will become clear why I'm doing this. Just going to turn it that way. That looks a bit straighter. Right, now the reason I've copied the layer is I can actually see now underneath how much of the picture I'm going to have to stretch to cover what was underneath there before. So I'm just going to use Shift and Alt and just drag out. Now the reason I use Shift and Alt, it'll make a global change across. If you just used drag, it'll just drag one corner, whereas Shift and Alt keeps it all the same, keeps it in perspective as it were. Okay, so that's looking a little bit straighter now. I might just give it one more. There we go. Right, once you're happy with the change, enter. And that's it, voila. Okay, so I'll just merge those two again, merge visible, and that's my picture done. So, file, and I'm just going to save as. It goes automatically into the correct folder. Traffic trail, and I'm going to put Southsea so I know where it was. There's loads and loads of different arguments here about what you should save your pictures as and all the rest of it. Because I'm actually saving this to put straight back into Lightroom as part of my edited library, I'm going to save it as a TIFF, high quality image, and then through Lightroom I will change it to JPEG whenever I export it to something like Photobox or Facebook or whatever you're using as a publisher. Then I would change it before sending, but once I've edited I will save it as a TIFF, just because it's higher quality. Tend to just, that actually doesn't make a massive difference. I've changed it, but it's just because I'm using a PC, not an Apple. Either or doesn't make much of a difference. This is the type of compression it uses. I just use it as default, use that as default, and so on. And just click OK. So that's that done. Okay, so that's all saved, so I'm just going to close it down, and as you can see Lightroom is still open. So automatically Lightroom has detected that we've added a new picture and it's already in there, so you can see that was one of the pictures we used, and it's saved the TIFF already that we've put in there. Now if you wanted to, you could go back down the whole process again and make changes and all the rest of it, and it will stay. Now what I was meaning when I was saying about if I was saving it as a TIFF because it was higher quality and then it will change once I upload to anything, with Lightroom what you can do is you can set up all your different little publishing devices that you use. So if, for example, I use Flickr. I used to be on Facebook, I'm not on there anymore. Photobox for that's where I get my printing. I also upload to 500px, which is another very good way of sharing your pictures. So what you do is you get the little plugin, and then straight away these are all my folders within Photobox. If I wanted to then upload this picture to Photobox, all I have to do is drag it over, select where I want to go, or even create a new folder, all that kind of thing. So let's put it in there as an abstract. It automatically goes in there, and all then I would do is make sure it's in there, and it'll even tell me which pictures are already in there, as you can see, and all I'm clicking then is publish. Now with my predefined settings for Photobox, continue with that. Oh, I've got an update for the plugin, so that's good. I'll just pause that while. So, and there you go. It's now publishing that picture to Photobox with my predetermined settings, which can all be changed with your settings up here or through editing the settings on here. So we can just have a look. So there you go. You can see that's my login, and then you can pick. So the way it's uploading is via JPEG, 100% quality. There's the color spacing. Again, you get Adobe, sRGB, whatever you want to do. Not a massive change really. Adobe is the standard. sRGB just gives you a little bit more color space, and Pro Photo if you're going to go for sort of big prints. I would also change that, I don't know why it hasn't been changed, to 300 pixels, which is the standard for printing. I'll just leave them as. So that's now uploading to Photobox, and it just makes it nice and easy. The same if I wanted to publish it to Flickr. So let's have a look. Going up to 2015, traffic trails, pictures done, so it's actually still selected there, and I can just upload to my photo stream, click on the file folder and click publish, and it is as simple as that. That's why it makes it so easy to do everything through Lightroom. You're not hunting your laptop or desktop for folders where you saved everything and then manually do it through the app. Everything is done through here. Just makes it so much more simpler, if that's even a word. Right, okay, hope that's helped. See you soon.